Copper Coat What Should I Do video number 2, January 2021. We were hauled out at Reback Island Shipyard. Shipyard is at the top of the photograph. This is my 2013 Island Spirit 38-foot catamaran. I purchased a wet and dry vacuum cleaner hooked up to the hose and then taped to a smaller hose and put into holes that I drilled in the keel. I've got a water problem in both keels, and this is quite successful, sucking out the moisture. And here you'll see the drill holes, and I used a Gremel tool. Fairing and the honeycomb core was quite soft, and there was no matting over the top of it, so drilling holes was quite easy. You can see the hose in the keel, and here's a photograph of the air compressors Dremel tool that I use. This is prior to me drilling holes in the starboard keel, and you'll see the fairing and the honeycomb core and the rectangular hole that's had to be dried out. Tried a number of different ways of removing the copper coat, including dry sanding, but I found if I cleaned up the edge of the level 1 and level 2 of the hull before I actually started to begin to grind out the copper coat, and I used a circular motion and I did it in sections. Here's the 7-inch grinder, the air compressor's 7-inch grinder, and there's the circular motion that I found that was the best way to deal with the removal of the copper coat at this level of the hull. Some were more difficult. I used 40 grit 7-inch discs, which made it easier to get off, and you'll see here's the final cleanup. I did it in basically 3 stages to just final cleanup of the copper coat back to the GRP. The 40 grit took the copper coat off fairly well. It didn't harm the GRP that much, although I did make a couple of mistakes now and then, but it turned out rather smooth and okay. This is the 6 horsepower Wayang air compressor. This is the inside of the starboard hull, and you'll see that I'm still got to do the belly of the beast down further to get rid of the copper coat, but you'll see how it turned out rather well. Brought it back to the GRP on the 2nd level and the white fairing on the 1st level. I'm not sure what I'll do with the anodes and through holes yet. Here's the port side, and it turned out a lot better, and you'll notice that I've also done some of the belly of the beast to finish off that side of the hull. I've still yet to finish the keel, and then once I've done that and I'm happy with the removal of the copper coat, I will then go ahead and run across both level 1 and 2 with a smaller air compressor grinder and 120-bit Crow sanding discs. I still have to deal with some really bad damage to the fiberglass hull, and I'll probably have to Gremel that out and fill it with epoxy, and then lay some matting over the hull and the skirting board and the keel, making a solid one-piece join. And before that I'll actually clean it up a bit more than it is at the moment. There's some holes in different areas and flaking of the copper coat that's still left to be ground off, but I need a better tool than I've got to do that. And you'll see that where the keel joins the hull, it's really quite nasty, and that has to be Gremeled out and filled with epoxy resin, and same with the matting over the top of the keel, skirting board and hull to join it and make it stronger. This is one of many areas that I'll have to spend a lot more detail getting it right. I'll have to think through and plan this so that I'm happy with the finished job. I'm I'm really happy that I purchased and hung this plastic to stop the wet copper coat from splattering all over other people's boats, and basically hits the plastic and drops to the ground, and it's much easier to clean up when it's dry, and I don't have the responsibility of having to clean another person's boat. This area is not dampness, it's just a different colour in the fiberglass finish, but above it is some black spots in the fairing of level 1 I wasn't happy with. I've still got to think that out. Since finished grinding this copper coat off the belly of the beast, I'm now ready to use 120 bit on both holes to finish the job off, or repairing holes with epoxy resin. This video was produced by myself, and it's the end of another exciting video of copper coat and what should I do about it.